Hi everyone. Today I thought, because I was enjoying all these beautiful turquoisey blue colors so much, I thought I would play with creating a fun little tree that might have some of these colors in it. And it might look snowy or very wintry. So I'm going to see what I can come up with. The colors for the branches, I almost wanted like a silvery type color, but not sure. We'll play with that. So the colors I'm using today are my MeiLiang palette that I absolutely love. They're just so perfect for beginners. I just recently cleaned my palette off. And of course, these are Paul Rubens. I love the cases they use. If you do purchase their more professional paints, this is a student grade. You get the same look on the outside, although the little parrot is different. And I just love their colors. They're so vibrant. They're beautiful. You get lots of choices because sometimes for the beginner, that can be a little nerve-wracking or intimidating trying to create all your different colors. So this palette really has several browns, reds, oranges, and greens, even blues. And I even love their pinks and violets are very beautiful. So that's the palette I'm using. And then today, as a if you don't want to invest in your Princeton brushes, which as you know, I love my 8 Velvet Touch because it just feels so nice and has a great point. For the last month or so, I've been using these Meeden brushes. They're nylon. Aside from just, I love aesthetics, you guys. I know that shouldn't be how I choose maybe some of my supplies. But aesthetics are going to get me all the time. And I just love their aesthetics. And the good thing is this little set has 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I want to say they have 10. There's 10, but I'm missing one here now. So you get 10 brushes for under $20, which I think is great because you can really play with all these different brushes. You get several rounds, even a very tiny little finer liner. You get wash brushes. So you get a lot of choices. And so I'm pretty happy with it so far. I think this might last just a tiny bit longer than the Degatos. They're just maybe a few bucks more. And then, of course, I am using my Artisto pads, and this is my holiday pad. So this is 140 pound cold press. And again, as I always share with you, I just love because this is a way I can keep all of my little tutorials and swatches and color swatches all together. And then the last thing today, I'm going to be using, again, these beautiful, I'm not affiliated with these people, this creator, MAB watercolors. It's the Mirror series, and I've been having so much fun. So I think on the tree, I'm going to use these blues and then add in some of these beautiful mirror type metallics on the branches. Okay, so let's get started. What I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to use a bigger brush. So I'm going to use this brush. Now, what I thought was interesting is they don't have a number on the brush for, like a size 8 round. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They give you a lot of choices. And to me, this feels like about an 8. This is an 8. It feels about the same. Now, keep in mind too, different brands, their size 8s will be different. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's get going here. I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. And what I'm going to start with first is I'm going to go into the background and create kind of a washy background for this beautiful tree. So I'm going to use, let's use our... Oh, one more paint I'm going to use today too for some of the snow is this white gouache. This one is the Zinc White by Winsor Newton, and it's quite opaque, and I like it. I both mix my colors with it, and it also is pretty good as far as covering up, like for the snow I'm going to use on the branches. So this is the blue I'm using, and this is the MeiLiang Light Sky Blue. And then I'm going to add some water because I always like to start with my lightest wash first in the background of the tree. So let's do that. And these brushes, I've noticed, they're pretty soft, but I like them. I don't usually like a soft brush, but I'm actually quite liking this. So let's go ahead and start dabbing in our some of our background. I'm going to add more water there. And just a light wash. You can soften some of those edges just by picking up a little bit more water. This is just the wash for the background, so it doesn't have to be real defined or dark. I'm going in just with the damp brush and kind of softening the background there, some of the edges. So I just dampen my brush and go around the outer edges just with a little bit of water, and then pick up more of my paint. So I want this real organic feel, of course, to the branches. So I'm trying to really just using the tip of my brush and just kind of letting my hand design. And now what I'm doing is I'm going in with just a little darker value, not as much water, and dabbing in here and there to get some of the darker spots like this. I just think these are going to be so pretty. I've really been enjoying the kind of I guess you could call it, I don't live in the snow, so I don't know, but the snowy type colors. And this is what I envision in my head. Okay, so with that done, I'm gonna go in and I did a little swatch here. Always keep little, I cut up all these scrap papers of just my most inexpensive paper, and I just play with the colors. So these were kind of some of the colors I was thinking about. And I'm gonna use the MeiLiang palette Van Dyke Brown. And actually, I think what we'll start with, let's see, let's get a different color here. Oops, I picked up the Van Dyke Brown, hold on. Let's try this color. Yeah, that's a little bit lighter than the Van Dyke Brown or the burned brown. So I think I'm going to use that. And you know, I will tell you guys what I noticed about this brush I'm noticing right now is usually when a brush is softer, it's not as snappy. And I like my brushes kind of snappy so I can get those points. But very interesting to me, this is really snappy. That's how you test the snappiness, the stiffness of your brushes is just like that. And it's really very snappy. And I like that. And at the same time, it's soft. So that's kind of unusual. I'm not sure how to describe that. These are nylon bristles, by the way. Okay, so let's go in and grab some of that Van Dyke Brown. Let's find a place on my palette here. I'm actually going to be switching back and forth between my burned brown and my Van Dyke Brown. So I'm going to create a little puddle of that right here. And then I'll create a little puddle of the darker brown. There you go. And I'll kind of go back and forth between those two for the darker areas and the lighter areas. So let's start with a little bit more water and some wash for our tree trunk, because we always start light and go to dark. So let me set this here. Move that blue to the side for a minute. And I'm going to be using that lighter brown and go in and just kind of lay down some of these branches. And it's okay if it mixes a bit with, and I'm using the tip of my brush right now, but because this tree trunk is darker, wide, you could use the side of your brush like this, although it's not as easy for me to get the white spots, which you know I love. So I'm going in a bit like that, and then maybe draw out. So this gets a really nice tip on it, which I like. And I will go in with that darker brown, pick up a tiny bit more, and just dot in here and there. So we get that beautiful blend. And then we'll go in, and I feel like I want this to dry a little bit more. So let's do this. Let's do a wash on the bottom here. And I'm gonna, again, use that bluish color. And just while this is wet, and a wet, damp brush, I'm gonna go across the bottom. Look how pretty that is. It's kind of mixing with the blue. And it just, to me, again, I don't live in the snow, so I don't know, but to me, this looks almost like snowy-ish. So I like that look. It's just so Christmassy to me. And then I might add in a tiny bit of brown here and there. Maybe there's a little bit of earth coming out under the snow. So that just creates some interest. And then what I'll do is go in with, let's use our sponge. The sponges are so great for trees. And I'm gonna go in and just pick up a little of my sap green and my olive green. Need a little bit more there. Let me grab and put some in my palette with my brush. So that's the olive green. And then let's pick up some of that sap green and just get a good mix there. I've got probably a medium value, which means, 50-50. I've got my wash and rinse water well, which you know I love, is Meeden. I mean, just when you hear it, it sounds like quality. I love their water well. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab my little brush. As you can see, it's green because I use it quite often for my trees. And I'm gonna tap in because I feel like there might be a little bit of green in there, maybe left over from spring or what have you. So just tapping in here and there like that. And then put that down. And it's kind of blending and a little bit of washiness. And then the other color I want to add in there is maybe a darker blue for some of the highlighted areas. So let's see. I think I'm gonna go with this Prussian blue. So let me grab a little bit of that. Oops. Let's see what we got here. Got a little bit too much water in my sponge, so I'm gonna, yeah, I like that color. Okay. And I'm gonna go in and just do a few washy areas. Now what I might do with this too is I might spray this so I get a little bit of a more of a blend because it's kind of dried and I'd like it to be a little bit more washy. So let's grab my well, I don't have my tiny sprayer here, so I'm gonna use this one, but really I'd like mine, and I'm gonna hold it quite far up. So there we go. That just will kind of allow it to be a little bit washy there. And while we're waiting for that to dry now, what I'm gonna do is go in and just texture that tree a bit. which I think what I will do is, let me get out my trusty credit card, and let's create a dark line on this side. So I'll use that either Van Dyke or the burned brown. And I'm going to go along this edge, and next I will just scrape my credit card to create a lit. See that texture? Isn't that beautiful? Such an easy way to create some texture in your trees, kind of that barky type of look. So there you go. That's all I want to do there. I might go in with a tiny bit of that Prussian blue just to, composition-wise, bring some of that blue down in here. So I might just pick up a very light wash of that blue and maybe touch in a little bit here and there. And what that does is it just brings a coherency between the top and the bottom. And it also brings a little bit of shadowing and depth into the ground here. Kind of looks like there's some maybe little hidden places in there. Just dabbing in with some of that dark brown, just to create some texture. And there we go. I'm quite happy with that. So I didn't really want to bring out my hair dryer, but I want to start adding in some little branches. So I'm going to choose one of their smaller little brushes and use it to, actually I think I'll use this one. That one's a little bit bigger. This looks like about a 6 to me, thinking about Princeton brushes. And I'm going to go in and start adding some of those branches. Okay, so maybe we'll have one coming up here. And just while it's wet, going in with that dark brown for the underneath side, and then coming up here and just drawing some of these branches sticking out here. I'm really kind of going in where I see white spaces, and I'm creating little branches here and there. And I'm making them a little bit textury, and I'm just using very light pressure on my brush and holding my brush somewhat upright, because if you want to get the tip, you want to keep your brush upright. I keep mine a little bit more diagonal just so I don't block your view. And then we'll go over into this other side here. Actually, I'll draw a little bit of that main branch. So just very light pressure. And I'm resting my palm on my sheet of paper, although I'm trying to be careful because that's wet. And just start drawing some of these little branches. I'm holding my hand up, but as you see, my hand is not real. Some people can paint like that very easily. I'm not one of them. And then I'm going to use the side of my brush to create a little bit more of that shadow. There we go. I might soften that a bit. So just wetting my brush, and it's now damp, and going alongside that to soften that a bit. And you know, I really am, so this is where I'm feeling that softness in the brush, is it's bending very easily, yet it's got a snappy point. So I'm not sure, you know, what that is, if that's because it's nylon or what, but it's very soft and yet very snappy and holds its point. Since I put a little bit more dark, I'm going to use my credit card and just draw that over, just like that. Kind of pull that, and you can see that old, beautiful texture that it gives. You can even use the card to go down this way if you wanted and create some little marks like that. Really, credit cards are great. Okay, I don't want too much texture because this down here is kind of like the snow. And let's go in. This was wet, so I was kind of waiting a little bit there. But let's see if we can get in there and draw some branches. Yeah, not too bad. So I feel like because it's winter, a lot of the leaves might have been dropped at this point. So I'm trying to not make my tree too full here. And a lot of branches exposed. Because it is winter. So there you go. Now I think what could be pretty on here is to add some of these metallics. I'm not sure what this is going to look like. So let's see. I'm going to pull out, and this is actually a page from my Artisto book, but I had to pull it out so I could show you. So that's another nice thing. You can keep everything really nicely in here, but if you did want to take one out, it is perforated. So I think to look like a little bit of snow, I'm going to use, I think this Splendor, because it's not too opaque. So let's see, which one is their Splendor? Oh, look at that, how pretty. Okay, so let's go in there, and I'm gonna make this quite washy. Let's get another little cup here to mix in. There we go. Whoop. Yeah, so I like that. And then what I'll do is just go in and dab in, like as if some of these are kind of shining. And look at that, very pretty. Yeah, that is very pretty. And it, oh my gosh, you guys, I hope you can see this. It looks like snow is on some of these areas, and it's glistening. Now, of course, you could use any metallics, but I think these metallics, I have been having so much fun with them. I'll link her because I've had a number of you ask me about them. Oop. Now that I didn't have enough water. There you go. Look how pretty. Now I'm going to put some along the bottom here too. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is really, really pretty. So this is just something really you'd probably just use for the holidays, but I think it adds that something special to it. And I'll hold this up and you can see if, let's see if you can see the sparkles. Oh, and look, my brushes even match. Isn't that funny? Okay, oh, and my nails. Look at that. Can you see those sparkles? Isn't that beautiful? So I think this is a really fun little tree. Now, let's see if I want to add, I might add in, let's see. Let's add in, let's grab our sponge again and maybe add a little bit more. Now my sponge is kind of dirty. Let's see if I can rinse that out. Sponges are great for trees, you guys. If you just sponged your whole tree, you would be fine. I love them. I love using a sponge for my trees. And I'm going to pick up that original color we started with, which I really love in the MeiLiang palette. It's the light sky blue. I think it's so pretty. It's very transparent. So if you're going to use it, really get in there and dab it on. Pick up a lot of it. Yeah, look at that. Maybe make it hang a little. Ooh, yeah, I'm glad I did that. That's exactly what this needed. Look how pretty that is. This to me just screams winter wonderland, you guys. Again, I don't live in the snow, so some of you may be like, what? That isn't what snow looks like. But I like this. I love it. So if you haven't gotten these, they're on Etsy. I think she actually lives in the UK. These have been really fun. I'm not affiliated with her. She just offered to send me these if I'd play with them on here, and I played with them for about a week and loved them. So that's how I got those. I'm going to add in, let's see, do I need anything else? I think this looks pretty good. I think this is really pretty. Look at the depth, because I use the different values. So I've got that Prussian blue, which is a darker value, meaning there's more paint than water. And then I started with a very washy, more wet, light value of that sky blue in the background. And then I built layers. I did put in a little bit of green, just because I thought maybe there might be some green in there. And then I used that credit card for a little bit of texture. So I think this is really, really pretty. I was going to try and maybe go in and create some snow on some of the branches, but you know what? I really like the sparkles. My original vision was to kind of go in with that white gouache. Now here, you guys, I'm doing something that I tell you not to do, is go in with the tip of your brush. So I'm pushing a little bit of this out. See, I do it too, you guys. And let's see what it would look like if I just laid a little bit of snow on some of these dark areas. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really adding that much value to this particular painting. I think it could. I think I actually really like the sparkles better. Just for this one, I usually love white gouache. But I think going with the sparkles is what I really wanted. So there you go. Wash and rinse my brush. Wipe it off. Because I've been playing with these fabulous Mirror Series sparkles. Everything on my desk has had sparkles on it, which isn't a bad thing, right? Okay, you guys, well, I think I'm done. I think that's quite pretty and would make a really beautiful card for some of you that are making your own cards. I think that could be really, really pretty. Now I'm just going in and adding a little, see, this is what I do. I start to end my tutorials, and then I come back and I start adding in. I just can't stand it. So that's when you say, walk away, put your brush, and walk away. All right, you guys, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this. Happy painting, and I will list all my paints in the bottom and all my supplies. As you know, I love my Meeden supplies, so I'll share those with you. These I just picked up on Amazon, just so I could, they came in a stack. And these are a good beginner brush. You could also use your Princeton 8 would be great, but today I played with these Meeden beginner brushes, and you get this whole set for under $20. All right, everybody, have fun, happy painting, and I will see you soon.